Hello there, and this is a post-qualifying Tournament 1 Barbarossa interview with said tournament winner. Hello, DevM.
Hello.
Before we get started, this is going to be a first in possibly 4 interviews, but the reason you're getting interviewed first today, DevM, is because you are the first qualifier for GCS2. How does that feel?
It feels very good. I have had a bit of doubt in my mind if I could pass the qualifier so easily, I guess. I really didn't know what to expect from every player. I just screamed like maybe Nogano and some other players, so I didn't know what to expect from the rest of them. But I think it went pretty well, and it felt good to beat kind of my nemesis, Van Ivan, to 0, I mean.
Yeah, so I'm just expanding that game now for the viewers. The first game of that was 492 victory point win on Crossroads. Well, I say first game. I mean, we all saw that you had a bit of a hardware issue. Code 2 and your PC really don't like each other very much, do they?
Yeah, they don't. I think it's also a bit of a curse with Van Ivan. It especially happens against him. It's really impressive.
So you've got a curse, right? Okay, so it's not like a GPU that's faulty. It's not a
No, no,
driver
no.
issue. It's a curse, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's a curse. Like my computer knows when I'm going to play Van Ivan.
Oh God, fair enough. But you did manage to, after the having to replay game one, you managed to get another great start. And what's your mindset though? So we all watched what you did. It was pretty impressive with the. Let me just remind myself of the factions again. Sorry, you were Wehrmacht versus von Ivan's Soviets. Like, talk us a
Yeah,
little bit
that's right.
what you do on Crossroads as that faction.
Yeah, so on Crossroads, it's a pretty centric map. What that means is that if you control the center of the map, you have information on where the other player is, mostly like where he's going to move in next. So if you have that information, it's pretty easy to move your units over there and just kind of get him off of his fuel. And really, Soviets at the moment without fuel, um, they can't really do much. They have to go for this gun instead for the T-70, which already puts them in a really awkward spot. So basically, I denied Van Ivan of the fuel with light vehicle play, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, we only just watched the first few seconds of the build orders, but if we were to jump ahead a little bit in this video, we get to the end game situation. It was all this. Do you remember that crazy battle for that Eastern Hedge, the Eastern
For the
fuel
AT
point?
gun.
Yeah, for the AT gun. Oh my God, you
Yeah.
guys swapped hands 5 times as to who was winning. It was a crazy skirmish there.
Yeah, I think he kind of screwed up a bit there because when you are out of resources or with like limited map control, there's a point at which if you spam too many Molotovs or 18-aids, you're going to get obviously out of munitions, right?
Yeah.
So it was just a case of I saw that he was using too many Molotovs, and at some point he like brought in a conscript squad next to one of my light vehicles, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And I saw that it took more time than expected to release the ability, so it means he's probably munition starved because a player like a high level player will not make the mistake of not using an ability as soon as you get in range, right?
That's interesting.
So
Dan actually caught that bit, so it's good confidence that you're building in my co-caster.
yeah, Dan does a good job at that.
Nice. So
But
so
yeah, basically I smelled blood there, so I
you
went in.
you did, and then of course we got that now infamous DevM has dropped from the game message. Insane DevM has dropped from the game, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, not again. um, but so talk to us. You've got this stuff going on. We won't go into what goes on with referees and all that kind of stuff, but talk to us. Now you're in game two. That kind of thing's just happened to you. How do you pick yourself back off the floor and cope with the disappointment of having a bug splat? And how do you like reassess the situation and just go?
Well, I was probably like tilted about that for maybe 30 seconds, but after that, you just really got to reset your mindset, go into the next game like it's a completely new game, like nothing happened before. I knew that Von Ivan could try to adapt his like capping order or build order to what had happened before, but I was confident that whatever he pulled, I was going to have the counter out. So
Nice. Almost as though you'd shown what you could do in the first game, inverted commas, and then in the actual first game you did it again, which is good.
yeah.
But the interesting one for a lot of the viewing public was actually game 3 of that series, where it was your Soviets versus Von Ivan's mobile defense. And of course, we all saw what Von Ivan can do with mobile defense against Theodosios in the quarterfinals the previous day. It was crazy the amount of dominance he had with that faction. Without obviously giving too much away, I presume, just give us a little bit of an insight into how you've been able to deal with mobile defense, and hopefully maybe some people could pick some tips off you in auto match for the guys that are really struggling out there.
Well, it really comes down to, I guess, two things, which is how well you use your sniper and how well you use your guards. Because as mobile defense, it's obvious that if you go for any light vehicle play, it's going to get heavily countered by the Pumas. So what's basically happened that game is obviously because of the auto match games, I already know what Van Ivan is going for.
Yep.
So I go for some heavy infantry play, which obviously Pumas will not do much against. And I just protected my sniper with lots of the PTRS squads. And my sniper, if you use your sniper well, you'll bleed your opponent for a lot of manpower, and you can gain a lot of map control by just sniping like 1 or 2 models of the grenadiers.
Yeah.
So if you make good use of the sniper with the infantry protecting them, especially on crossroads where, like I said, it's a centric map, so the cutoffs, you can pretty easily get to any of the cutoffs. So if you got the advantage in terms of infantry, then you'll get the cutoffs for sure. And then it was a matter of kind of baiting Von Ivan into calling Pumas, I guess.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get to D70, obviously he's going to get the Puma out. And if he feels threatened that one Puma isn't enough, then he's going to like expand even more resources on that, which is basically giving myself a false sense of security. Since if you use too many resources on Pumas,
Yeah.
on the long run, it's going to hurt you a lot, and it's one of the mistakes, I guess, that many players do with mobile defense.
Very, very interesting. And obviously, the key component of that was your sniper and your sniper play. Seeing players such as ICAB, for example, who are now trying to like pick up the sniper as a 1v1 tool and like emulate the success you're capable of having with it. What do you say to players like ICAB that might help them, really make it that precision tool that allows them to succeed in these kind of games?
I think that the main point about using snipers at the moment is about how you protect them. So right now, the key thing that you need to look for when using the sniper is about the 4 or 5 minute marks. Minute mark into a game where you can expect probably a scout car or flamer half track to come out, and you can bet that most likely what the player is going to do, the opponent, is rush your sniper with that vehicle. So around that time, you really need to keep your sniper back into the base or protected by some kind of mine placement with the guard squad or penal there until you got the proper guard setup, like 2 guards on the field. So basically you need to play defensive with sniper as soon as they have the counters out and have the mentality that they basically have a low window of opportunity to kill your sniper. It's basically that window where you still are missing some kind of anti-infantry, anti-tank squads. So you just make use of that.
Interesting. Let's go on. I don't want to talk all about the games because I'm very aware that Stormless does that masterclass thing, and I keep bugging him. Ask DevM. No fanboy intended. But anyway, the next games I want to talk about, of course, that was the semi-final. Let's talk a little bit about the final versus Talisman. Now, we all saw how these games went. I mean, most people saw how they went, but they may not have, from obviously Dan and I's commentary, we may not understand the finer points of just why you were so dominant against Talisman. Is there anything you think we should be more aware of that you're doing that makes you such a threat to somebody in such a high stake game as such as this one?
Hmm. I guess that a thing you might be missing, I guess, as casters is how the map is kind of played. Um, Talisman didn't do. Basically, I think that Talisman did what he did in the other series. He tried to kind of play safe, play defensively,
Mm.
wait for the opponent to get to him. Um, Also, I remember that you criticized his non-Raketen build.
Yep.
Um, that comes down to the fact that he practiced a lot with that build as well.
Yeah.
So he was kind of surprised that I'm like could make the scout car work against him when in scrim matches he couldn't actually he wasn't bothered by the scout car used by other players. So I think that it's important for casters to kind of see the map movement. I think I outplayed Talisman a lot in that sense, where I basically didn't let him have any feel really, so he could tech up to have his usual build basically. He couldn't get the Panzer II out in time, and that was basically played on to the other matches where I think that at some point he was kind of demoralized already. But also interesting point that a person made on chat, I remember, was that he also studied me and he placed a mine on the third game
Yes.
on the cutoff point, which was pretty interesting.
I like that. I that's why I started getting excited again, and after you brutally destroyed everybody and ruined the tournament, I started to get excited again because of that one mine. But you did
Well, it's not my fault if players like Van Ivan aren't bringing their secret super mega counter strategies,
I
right?
know they're holding back. They're holding back for this big live finals. They were waiting for you to leave this qualification tournament so they could
Yeah.
they could save it all up, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've got this game on now. It's again on Crossroads. I think it's pretty much company of Crossroads. The tournaments are running right now, but yeah, that was interesting. But it's pretty much the same story again after the mine. The mine kind of just delayed. It delayed it by a good 10 minutes though. I have to say,
it did.
he did manage to get the Panzer II Lukes out, and it made a game of it basically. So if mines don't win games, they certainly prolong them sometimes, which is pretty cool.
I think it's also interesting that Talisman picked Crossroads to play in. I think it's probably the map I have most experience in at the moment. Like, even against Van Ivan, you should have seen that it's one of my best maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why he went for it.
Maybe it's one of his best maps too. It is a very, very liked map at the moment. I'm hoping the balance tweaks that they're making to the maps comes in soon. Maybe that'll bring some of the other maps back in line with where Crossroads is at, basically. That's the hope, anyway. Anyway, let's talk more meta. We've talked more tactics. Let's talk more strategy. Let's talk GCS on the whole. You've qualified early, and you got a long time to wait now until that big finals on the 15th and 16th of September in Manchester.
Yeah.
How do you keep sharp? How do you keep your finesse? And how do you make sure you're ready when the actual big tournament comes?
I definitely think that the other players will have a bit of an advantage just because they'll be like on a tournament setting for 3 more qualifiers. But I do think that difference isn't that much between that and scrims between really good players. So I'll probably just keep screaming the usual guys that I have been screaming and trying out new stuff because, I can't get behind in terms of strategy, especially against Van Ivan, who is always bringing in new stuff to the board.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, I suppose, you're now a safe guy for those guys to scrim with because they can practice secret strategies with you and they're not going to have to use them they're safe basically because they won't come up against you in any of the other 3 qualification tournaments. So that kind of makes sense. I think you might have a good chance of actually being able to do that. That's it's good for you. And this big redemption story, DevM, after the dark day.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing up the brackets now. I mean, oh God, that was not a good day for DevM and Love Nest. He certainly makes a good, pretty poster boy, though, DevM. So good help. Well, you helped the marketing for GCS2.
Yeah.
So you know, maybe
Goddamn love nest.
with his German genetics.
Yeah.
But so at least that's a silver line. No, it's not at all. It's still the darkest day in your tournament career. However, you've got plenty of positive things to remember, and I think winning this qualification tournament with an 11-0 record is something very positive to remember, DevM, and I think you'll always look back proudly on that one. And
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely was a big day for me. Sorry about cutting you off, but
no,
yeah.
please go on.
It's really validated all the practice I have put in, because people think that maybe I just started playing 1 month before GCS. Not sure like how much time they think I've put into the game, but lately I have actually put a lot more time. Basically, it's the OCF all over again, where I, in a short span of time, I guess, although this time it was a bit longer, I did lots of practice.
Yep.
And I think I'm in a better shape than I was in GCS1 actually. So if I do end up meeting again Love Nest, I do think that it will be quite different.
That's extremely exciting because I think you'll be the first to admit it that Love Nest was certainly better than you on that day. I'm not saying he was better than you in general, but maybe just on that day, I think it's easy to say that he was certainly better. And it's all about being prepared. And this year you seem a lot more prepared, and I commend you for that. You've put proper time and effort into treating this game like a serious competitive endeavor, which elevates the entire scene. It makes you're now the man to beat. And to be the man, you got to beat the man. And you've made yourself that target. But let's see if you can shoulder the burden. And good luck.
Thanks. I'll try my best to, this time, win the tourney.
Good luck. All right. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.